The magic machine tells me that I am live. Long time no see, especially on this channel. Blueberry Wolf Bridge live and full effect. And for the one person that's going to see me on Twitch, possibly two people that see me on Twitch, yo. And the Twitch experience has got to be beyond confusing. I'm on the Blueberry Wolf Bridge channel, no intro RPG. So it's an RPG video. Hello. Long time no see. How you been? No, this is not part two of OG first edition. Big Eye Small Mouth. We'll get to that eventually. We're doing something completely different. There's an individual, you'll see his links to his YouTube channel below. The YouTube channel is called Gray Army Gaming. The man himself goes by the name of, surname is not important, Matthew. And he has an ultra minimalist solo RPG system they floated out there called the Firepit. He's made 2 videos about it so far. He is darn excited about it. I caught his first video about it, and an aspect, it's got 2 basic things, parts, ultra minimalist, and one, the first piece of the puzzle really immediately struck me as something that I could use and could be a vital organizational service to me and my solo RPG playing. So, standing on the shoulders of giants, we help each other. Great artists borrow, good artists borrow, great artists steal, whatever. Bigging it up, all proper credence goes to the creators. Praise and hosannas onto Matthew of Gray Army Gaming. We're talking about his ultra minimalistic solo RPG, The Fire Pit. Woo! Is he enthused about it? I gotta love his energy. Gotta love his energy. We'll be talking about it. We'll be diving in. But first and foremost, Mario Heat. First, I think this is rare that the first person joining us is joining us on Twitch. And starting with distraction, but we forgive because it's Friday, it's Valentine's Day. We also say hello to Jonacide. Jonacide, happy Valentine's Day to you. Pathfinder 2, something. No jokes. Oh, Pathfinder 2. Clearly the winner in that whole OGL debacle. Folks, I'm going to tell you what that whole. We're going to wait for the big brain scientists over at talking about Dungeons, whatever, the guy, to whoever, to write a book about the OGL crisis. You'll know if they get the story right if the story is written as follows. I don't know. Remember, folks, the guys over at Pathfinder 2, the guy that broke the story, the guy. I don't keep on throwing this guy under the bus, but Glickner over at Roll for Combat broke the story first before even what's her face, what's their face, his face, I think actually, um, and they it was purely for financial incentive. He is didn't tell us until months into the OGL debacle that he was the biggest publisher of the biggest third party publisher of Pathfinder second edition content. That'd be great. Oh, and by the way, Pathfinder sold all that Pathfinder 2 content, all those old books, and then said, oh, by the way, right after the OGL crisis, and then, oh, by the way, said, oh, Pathfinder 2.5, you got to get new books. If WotC had done that, it would have been called a WotC move. Pathfinder and Pazio were able to do it, and no one said anything. Did Matt Glickner not know that they were coming out with Pathfinder 2.5? Did the biggest seller of third-party content for Pathfinder 2 really not know that Pathfinder 2.5 was coming out? Oh, by the way, his second in command on his podcast, Roll for Combat, was a lead contributor to Pathfinder 2.5. Do you think that he didn't know that Pathfinder 2.5 wasn't coming out as he was telling everyone, fuck WotC, buy Pathfinder 2? But Karma's a bitch. And we all know how well Pazio made out. And Karma's a bitch. Because the big story out of PAX this season was apparently Pazio just dropped the ball and had did some fucked up organized play. OGL was an inside job. Absolutely was. Told you every day. People go from WotC to Pazio to WotC to Pazio to back and forth. They all knew what was up. It's all politics. Personal politics. Mario asks CW serious question about TTRPGs. Yeah. Do you think the booklet format is outdated and electronic will take over? I think that PDFs are a great way to mask your consumer addiction and store things in a format where they can remain unused until the digital format that you stored it on, whether it be a thumb drive, a digital hard drive, or the cloud, becomes inaccessible or unusable to you, either because the technology is no longer in date, right? Uh, you all know everyone's got some sort of, if you're of a certain age, you've got an iOmega zip drive somewhere with some grad school project, right? That is inaccessible to you, but is now some sort of like totemic artifact, digital artifact. Why throw it away? Why keep it? So those gigs and gigs and terabytes of ones and zeros that by definition need to be interacted with for hours at a time to get their use, but you don't have hours of time to use them, so but they're a lot easier to move around. Those little tiny thumb drives, laptop computers laden with data. Laptop is unusable. But you'll hold on to the laptop. You'll recover those ones and zeros by some miracle of modern science sometime in the future. I think that the booklet formats will stay in fashion because they're fetish items for a time, as long as people fetishize these items, which will not be for long. We're leaving the go-go 80s and we're entering the depressive 90s. So the period of nostalgia excitement over these TTRPGs is going to be waning, waning, waning down. But that is a depressing song that I've been singing since I came back into this spot. Who will heed my clarion call of depression and sadness? Don't forget the sadness. Fellow Grognards. Remember Poltergeist 2? Well, take a look at your shelves and shelves, or your digital shelves of games to be played, alone or with others. Others. You're gonna die alone in there? Nobody loves you. Nobody cares. Your most valuable possessions are worthless to others. Hodl. It's what you do best. Anyway, Tim Frey saying hello to all the other the Pathfinder fanatics. Hey, listen, people gather where they hate, where they're loathed. That's why I'm rocking it to the top. People have already cornered the marketplace on WotC hate, so I'm just going for the lesser worked shores of Pazio fandom. All 5 of you out there. I'm kidding. 10. Listen, we say hello to Charles Williamson. Golden Coin 100 in the house. Mario Heat finally remembered. Happy Valentine's Day, y'all. It's Valentine's Day, folks. And I'm having, for Friday, on my TTRPG channel, I'm experiencing record live chat interaction. Catherine isn't here. Neither is Jen Q or any other girls that we normally see. But I obviously point that out because it's an obvious thing to point out. But the live chat interaction remains vibrant. I wonder if there's some sort of explanation. Tim Frey, don't get me distracted. Tim Frey, Valentine's Day already? Shit, that's my wife's birthday. Your secret's safe with us. Depending on your time zone and depending on where she is on her journey home from work, Tim, you're excused. This will be primarily an audio. This will be one of those things. It'll be my smiling face. There's not going to be a lot of cutaways. Even ordering a pizza at this point. And it's her birthday. Funny how that snuck up on you. Getting to know you. Yeah, see you later. I gotta hide. Listen, let me be there for you. You don't have to hide. You're better than this. You don't need to hide from this situation. You need to grab the bull by the horns. I believe in you. I know we're here to talk about the Firepit solo RPG engine by Grey Army Gaming, but I feel more comfortable if I knew you were taking a proactive approach to doing something for your wife's birthday and Valentine's Day. It's not my business to pry. Tim, I'm here dressed in a semi-formal manner. Tim, I'm here dressed in a semi-formal manner, not because it's Valentine's Day, but because it's laundry day. Tim, don't do what your big sister done, to quote Elvis. Me and the ex-wife are in a very good place. I'm moving back into the household after we make some additions, and it's after the divorce cost me so much money. Just JK, I already bought her some socks and a bar of soap. Well, you bought her something. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to leave it there because I also don't know your financial situation, so I'm not going to dig into it like socks and a bar of soap. Because listen, I mean, you know what I mean? Good. We can move on then. Listen, the Fire Pit, the ultra minimalist solo RPG by our friend Matthew T. His last name, I don't know. I'm gonna put his shit out there, but anyway, it's not keeping it a secret. Like, if you go to his the YouTube videos by the guy, he puts up on the thing where you can download the thing, and it's got his name right there. So I don't think he's keeping it a secret. You know, I'll keep my name a secret. Is what she's the practical tweaker. You keep on making that joke. It's the Sabbath tomorrow. That's tomorrow's problem. It's Rumspringer today. Do you know what I mean? Speaking of meth, the fire pit. Okay, so and I can do this despite you guys. The practical joker. Okay, that's on me. Matthew is an enthusiastic young man who apparently is responsible for the education of children. I think of a college or high school age. God bless his enthusiasm. If I had one piece of advice to Matthew, it would be the following. Your job description, as I can ascertain, is probably something to do with education, right? I guarantee you, nowhere in your job description does it say anything like teach these kids to seize the day or whatever. But I get the impression that you're probably one of those guys early on in your career that somehow is under the mistaken impression that it does include that. Okay, I just want to tell you, I love you. I love your system, whatever. I just want to, just like break that spirit of you, like that spirit of enthusiasm. Just want to take that down to like a notch. The guy's really enthusiastic. Like he came up with this thing, and I really really respect that he's enthusiastic about this thing they came up with. But you can tell you hear him like talk about like going through like telling the kids about like John Stuart Mill and I don't know like classical liberalism or whatever. You just know that it's like somewhere in there is like he thinks he's reaching these kids. And I just want to tell you, Matthew, you're not. You know what I mean? So I just want to fast forward you to the point in your career where you just get like fucking wailed in the nuts. And so I just want to let you know, like, you know, no, there will be no seasons of days. Do you know what I mean? And I like your thing, and it's doing a lot for me, and I'm gonna get a lot out of it. You know what I mean? But you can ask like Sam from Scorn, you know, what having your YouTube experience cross my YouTube experience is gonna be like, or Tasha Patterson from Micro Chapbook RPG. People don't tend to find it a pleasant experience. I've already declared it my mission to make sure that like as an educator for no reason that like because I like your solo RPG, but I've identified you as being an enthusiastic educator that I somehow have like an agenda in life to like hurt that aspect of you. And I want you to know something. I'm like deadly serious about that. I'm like deadly serious, like you need to call the cops, but like existentially, like I'm a threat to your enthusiasm about life. No, I'm not. Right? I'm not. You know what I mean? In fact, if anything, I'm probably gonna like big you up because I'm like covering your system, right? But man, are you enthusiastic? And I just want to say, like, I've seen so many YouTube channels come and go in this TTRPG space. And there's so many people that, like, at the point in career where you're at, are like, "Yo, get it, bat 1,000, boom, this." And it's the human mind. We can unlock so much potential. And like, Yeah, I just want to let you know that'll pass. That'll pass real fucking quick. I'll go call the nurse. Okay. Anyway, the Fire Pit by Matthew over at Gray Army Gaming basically consists of two things. It's a a structure which I like, the seven stones, which is the thing that grabbed me and got me. That I knew immediately was going to link up perfectly with an aspect of my solo play that has produced a ton of ideas and content for me, but I haven't had a structure for. And this was a thing that could I knew immediately could have some structure for. And there's another aspect of the fire pit that we'll get to, which is just basically a kind of a yes no success oracle that it's good and serviceable. In covering this, I want to let you know that I've provided the links to the Gray Army Gaming YouTube videos about the fire pit. The fire pit, qua the fire pit, is Matthew's trip. So I'm not going to be here to critique the system or tell you why it's good or bad or to cover it in toto. It's so small, it's so tight, and it's so concise. I'll leave it to Matthew to explain what it is. I've given you the links. I'll let you know. I've let you know where it's at. So if you've got more in depth stuff you want to go into, it's there for you to go into. I'll just talk about it for me, the pieces of it as it applies to kind of what I've been up to in solo play and how I think it's going to help me in solo play. At least that's my kind of my roadmap, my plan, or my agenda for the video. A video that's already 22 minutes into it because it's Valentine's Day and Worship of Fools. Capiche? Tim Frey writes, solo RPG is a pretty legit market. Original D&D probably couldn't tap it too hard because it's just one lonely kid, not a bunch of kids pooling their money. There you go. So what is the fire pit? Let's just do this. Let me see if I can manage to do this without doxing me, myself, and the whole wide world. Not likely. Not likely. Um. Well, now why can't I even do? Oh, I see. You gotta do that. That's how you gotta do it. Hold on. There you go. Now I got it. I got it. Now I can do this. See if that works. I'll go back there to click and see if it's showing the thing. Oh yeah, see there it shows it. Hopefully I'm not showing my entire world here. Anyway. There you go. There you go. Here we go. So this is basically it when it comes to the fire pit when you talk about the PDF that he's got up for download. It consists of basically, see if I could help you out here, if I could help with the framing here. Boop. Okay. Okay. So it's got two basic things. It's got the seven stones, which is the structure element of it, and then it's got the quote unquote the fire, which is just the yes no, yes no with degrees of success D6 oracle. So the seven stones are it's like a classic journalism class. When I saw this, I was like, I don't know if this is exclusive to journalism. I recognize this stuff, and we've talked, you know, not necessarily in the context of this channel, but if you look at the description box below, you'll see links to my other channels, or at least one of my other channels. You also, if you do a search for CW Chanter, C.W. Chanter, you'll find my other main channel that I started with. You'll know I have an illustrious career. Got me sued, folks. I've got a Patreon. You might want to support me on Patreon because, unlike some people who like to shake around angry lawyer letters, I actually have skin in the game and have a a bill for, attorney's fees, having been sued by allegedly nefarious ne'er do wells in the world of conspiracy theory and I chat with aliens. To describe it after a fashion. But let's not go too far afield. The seven stones are our structure of the system. The fire is the chaos. This is me borrowing Matthew's language. And like I said, he's an enthusiastic salesperson and he's an enthusiastic prophet of the system. And I dig it. I dig it. And the seven stones, we talk about, I mentioned journalism. We talk about this, the who, what, where, when, how, and why of a story. That's where I always heard that those words bandied about. But I could see how they're applicable to other things like books or writing stories or stuff. Um, but that's how I always knew. And so we've talked about things like journalistic integrity or the problems with, mainstream media, whatever, but they're not necessarily solved by getting all your information from wackadoo yahoos on Instagram, Instacart, YouTube, or, Belfie influencers on wherever you have you, or on Discord or whatever. Because those people are not necessarily providing you with the who, what, where, when, how, and why of the story, right? So these are things that when I saw them laid out like this, it immediately struck me because in my solo RPG playing, something that we haven't used this term in a while, SSP, TTT, the meta RPG, secret space program, time travel technology, meta RPG. We have the meta RPG spellcrafting. We've talked about this. How to turn one of my most popular videos actually on my channel is this TTRPG channel is how to turn any movie into a role playing game, or how to turn them into you know D100 tables or whatever. I'm on Twitch, Charles. I'm on Twitch there, baby. Yeah, you better believe it. Um, and when I watch movies, it has to do with time travel. It has to do with airsats, time travel, and I don't want to get too far afield, as I've already done about 5 times or 6. Who's keeping score? But the end result is practicing this art of watching movies, TV shows, pieces of media from various years and taking notes and gathering spells. There'll be some explanation coming from them. I generate oodles and oodles of these spells, these moments, these tropes, these captured characters, these pieces of equipment, these spectacular vehicles frozen in time, these incredible creatures that are supposed to be played with in this solo RPG of mine. But the problem has always been figuring out how to get them a good, solid, repeatable system of how to get them into play consistently. And we've tried various things depending on, what systems we've been experimenting with based on, what years, trying to match years to gaming systems. It's a very esoteric system, I know, and we're not going to be able to answer all questions here. The longer you stay tuned to my channel, the more twisted your brain will become to match mine. But when I got to this fire pit and looking at the seven stones, how he lays out and answers and talks about taking these things like the who, what, where, when, why, and how, and foe, he adds, and answering these questions. And I realized I could take these spells that I had generated and use them as answers to these questions, and then in this interaction, have ways to build and use these spells to build a structure and interact with this fire pit minimalist solo game. I hope that I'm achieving some level of communication. I know that at any point within the last, say, 10 minutes, I may have thrown in one or two concepts completely in out of order and without necessary background context. And I also can see that I may have done so in a way that may have made the whole thing appear like word salad and insanity. I can appreciate that. I don't know in which order I should introduce these concepts, so I will just introduce them in an order and hope for the best. If it turns out that the order that I introduced them in at this point isn't the best order, we see Charles Williamson on Twitch. Thank you for joining us on Twitch. Don't forget to follow. Tim Frey says, foe is a heck of a seventh stone. Hey, baby. Seventh stone of a seventh stone. Let me talk about how I generate these spells, because I went through my main old Game Master's Battle Book that I've been using since 2023, I think, when I started this YouTube channel. And I went through and went over some of the notes that I had made. I'd been thinking about these things just for me. Occasionally, I would make notes about the spell making procedures, but then after time, it kind of just tapered off, and I didn't know if people were still interested, so I just was doing it for myself. But I decided in preparation of this video to go through, find the notes that I had made regarding how to make the spells, look over them, decide which ones were still relevant, still that I was using, and re-articulate them, rewrite them down. So I'll do that. I'll repeat those for you, and they're not much. And then you'll have more context for where the spells come from. And then we'll see how the spells get put in and answered as these questions. And then you'll see how another aspect of how this fire pit solo RPG system can be used, could be used by you, is being used by me, and hopefully we will be increasing the net amount of free knowledge about solo RPG play in the world, increasing the amount of joy in the world that can be generated for free, the amount of creative energy that can be generated in the world for free, and particularly the amount of energy that can be generated about AirSats time travel for free, which isn't a practice I encourage. Chrono magic is real. Hashtag chrono magic is real. It's real. The rule articulated: see the trope, record the trope. This is the essence of how a spell is created. But remember, any word, there are many words that can be substituted for trope, as we just said, such as moment, mood, experience, thing, person, transcendent article, etc. The accuracy of the spell material, the spell to the source material, like the movie we're watching, the TV show we're watching, or the comic book we're reading that we got it from, or its ability to communicate the thing that it was originated from, is irrelevant. That's not what's important. What's important is you see something on screen or in print, it triggers a thought, it triggers a mind, it triggers a word or phraseology, and you're permitted then to record that. Spells are recorded by hand in the moment and are single use. They are destroyed from the record at time of use, immediately, because rarity creates value and worth. It also fuels evolution of the process and world churning. Here's a quick tip: avoid the temptation to pause. Let the media flow. You can't catch all the spells every time. It's a little bit like fishing and or surfing, waiting for the big one. Spell tip: leaving out the punctuation leaves things open later on. Like when you're writing things down, not punctuating things leaves things open for interpretation. Spell tip: don't forget your simple utility spells like what's wrong or screwdriver. Future spouts. Defined: a book, movie, story about a future point in time, or year, decade, etc., is from or could be from, as defined, that period or year, right? I.e., a portal that to that potential future date or time, an escape tunnel to that place, a jump gate technology, in other words. Likewise, you could have a past portal. It could be defined as the same, but in the reverse. But note, all is subservient to the actual dates of product creation and inception, right? Like a movie made in 1984, but about the year 2021 is could be thought of as material related to the year 2021, but it primarily is material related to 1984 for chrono magic period purposes. This is for me. This is for me and my system. A lot of it may translate, a lot of it may not. You can ID special tech and aspects of certain media and stuff for purpose. This is a form of spellcraft. Are we creating a new world? Question mark. Interacting with the media now becomes an active and interactive process, one where you walk away with something tangible to reuse from the experience, at least a recording. And that's the entirety of the notes on spellcraft production. So, I then found myself, after years of engaging this, with I got tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of every time I watch a movie, a show, a TV show, I'm sitting there. I note dutifully the year of production. I don't drive myself crazy if I get the year wrong, whatever. But I generally note the year of production, then I make notes. Like, I see things, write the things down. Like, so for Hercules, the legendary Journeys, season one, episode one. The date of original airing is there's like that was January 16th, 1995. Then number two is The Wrong Path. Number three, Some Hang While Others Do the Dirty Work. Number four, A Time of Myth and Legend. Number five, The Power of His Heart. Number six, An Innocent Would Suffer. Number seven, Hercules. Number eight, The Legendary. Number nine, Journeys. Number 10, Zeus Betrayed Me. Number 11, Ibex Staff of 11. So I make notes, these things, the people, places, things, tropes, ideas. Could be like a Rocky Horror Picture Show style talking at the screen. All these type things get written down. So I end up with tons and tons of these notes, but they get I produce more spells than I end up using the spells. So the spells get created, but every time they get used, they get crossed off. But so then I have these 7 stones in the fire pit system. I immediately say Kulu Kalay, because here's the point: you're supposed to use the stones. Use the stones as follows. So if you go to his original video, he says the who is the character, the what is the character's goal, the where is the story place, the when is the story time period, the why is the character's motivation, the how is the means of achieving the goal, the foe is the character's opposition. And then he just has one game mechanic, which is the fire, this D6, uh, success or failure, thing. If you've got advantage, that's more likely to be you're more likely to be successful. You roll 2d6 instead of 1d6, and you're not rolling the 2d6. You're just rolling 2d6, and if you're rolling with advantage, you'll just take the higher dice result. And if you're rolling with disadvantage, you'll roll 2d6 and just take the lower dice. And the success ladder goes from no and, which is extreme failure, no, which is just failure, no but, with a failure but with one positive effect. 4 is yes but, success with a negative effect. 5 is just success. And 6 is yes and extreme success, yes and some sort of boon. So you see that as an ultra minimalist solo RPG, it still relies heavily on you, the solo player, to fill in a whole bunch of narrative information. This is not going to be a good system for a complete total novice or a person that's not comfortable with, using their imagination. But for someone like me that is fairly comfortable with using their imagination, and maybe because they're insane, it's going to work out well. So I saw the original video on the fire pit, and I immediately thought to myself, yes, these 7 stones I can work with, because I can take these spells and I can put them in these slots. And by taking spells from a given year, like 2000, 2001, 1988, whatever, and because I like to keep things copacetic, I can come up with my own little RPG scenarios that are fit to purpose, that are all pulled from the same year, the same time periods, and will then be put together in a structured format that answer all of these key elements that you need, questions you need answered about a world. Because this is like why a journalist needs to know the who, what, where, when, how, why of the story, and the addition of the foe, whatever, is just for like a story purpose. That's everything you need to know about a scenario. And then the fire is just the task resolution, it's just the conflict resolution. Now the question becomes, is that going to be enough for your solo play? It doesn't have any sort of hit points. It doesn't have any sort of anything else, any other sort of conflict resolution. It's just gonna you're just gonna be figuring out from this basic oracle whether or not you're successful or unsuccessful, and with a degree of really successful with just these very, very slight degrees of nuance. So how is it going to work for us in actual application? So this is what I did. I discovering this fire pit system, I said at the very moment that I had done it, I had kind of come across it. I was in the process of looking at stuff from like the early, right before like kind of the turn of the millennium. I had taken notes on season one, episode 16 of Cowboy Bebop, the anime Cowboy Bebop. And then I had taken notes on season one, episode two of the UK's original version of The Office. So I had something from 1999, I had something from 2001, and I wanted to keep on that flow. And I'd already been thinking about coming to you guys with something about purpose built for the fire pit. So I wanted to keep on this, stay in this era. And I kind of freed myself from the notion of needing everything to be just in 1999 or just in 2001. I was comfortable with things being from 1991, 1999, 2001, 2000. I was comfortable with things being from around the same period of time. So then I had something from 1999 Cowboy Bebop. I had something from The Office 2001, but I didn't want to just have two things. So I was looking for something like a third piece. So I came home that night and I said, I thought to myself, I need like a third thing. It's like the power of three. I've got an episode of Cowboy Bebop. I have an episode of The Office. I want something. I need something that's like a third piece, but like something that's like I've got like this thing. I got one thing that's like an anime. I've got this funny thing for The Office. I need something like with a similar amount of like gravitas and power from the era, but not the same. And then I was looking through all these different possible movies that I could watch, and there were all these like close contenders, and then I found it. A movie, I got to be honest, I'd seen before, but I'd never really paid attention to when I watched it. I think I fell asleep every single time I tried to watch it. The movie is Donnie Darko from 2001. Folks, I had never realized this thing was about time travel. And you want to talk about my 20-year nostalgia loop theories? This thing is filmed in 2001 and it takes place in 1988. So I talked about the 15-year nostalgia loop theory. It's like it's right on there. But also it starts the millennium off by committing these grand chronological sins. It's supposed to take place in 1988, and it establishes its place in 1988 basically two ways: by constantly referencing the Dukakis Bush election and by playing music from the 80s. However, all the music that it plays from the 80s, none of it is from 1988. All of it is from 1982 through 1984. Remembering the past incorrectly is a hallmark of nostalgia. It's how we get so screwed up and why we live in a time of no tomorrow and no yesterday. Nostalgia will remember for it for you wholesale and will remember it for you completely incorrectly. So I watched Donnie Darko and took extensive notes, and then I had to fill out the page, so I watched an episode of Trigun, and then we also have Family Guy from 2001 and a little bit of One Piece from 2001. And where do we end up after all of that? I ended up saying to myself, okay, so now here's the task. I went from each thing, each media point entry, and saying, let's take and answer each of these questions, harvesting from each of these IPs in turn, going down the list of notes that I had made, going through the entries, and let's find an entry that can fit. If we find an entry that fits in the slot or can fit in the slot, we put it in the slot. And it works. And I think I came up with something that works. I think that I came up with something that immediately gave me ideas for um, win loss factors, and it's playable. Here we go. Who? The character. Well, I started with the Donnie Darko material as the first thing, and so we got for our character Dick Donnie at the dinner table. Right? So it's not just Donnie Darko. We don't just go Donnie Darko. It's the entry was Dick Donnie at the dinner table from Donnie Darko 2001. We'll go through them and then I'll show you how they interact together because it's not just one name. It's a phrase. Dick Donnie at the dinner table. What? That's the character's goal. A man in need of arm repairs. That's from Cowboy Bebop, 1999. A man in need of arm repairs. So immediately with just that one, those two things, I'm immediately thinking to myself, well, Dick Donnie at the dinner table, and his character goal is a man in need of arm repairs. Is he in need of arm repairs? His goal is a man in need of arm repairs. So I immediately thought to myself, it's like he's like a tech bro. And like he needs a gig. He needs to work on somebody, right? He needs to ply his trade. And I said that I immediately saw that thing, the dinner table, as being like he's got a work table, he's got a workspace. And he needs a guy, whether it's working on somebody's cybernetic arm or it's working on somebody's gun, he needs work. He's working looking for a person to work for. Needs to ply his trade. Needs someone who needs arm repairs. Where? Story place. Well, this comes from The Office. Slough Trading Estate. Ah, the Slough Trading Estate. I like it. When? Story time period. This comes from Trigun, 1998. This was the original air date of this one episode was April 15th, 1998. Now, I didn't feel the need to go back and say that, oh, because it's 1998, it's going to be, guns and not cybernetic arm repairs. We can play with alternative pasts. So our guy's already in the Slough Trading Estate on April 15th, 1998. And it's interesting because we give the time period is a specific day. The guy's looking for a man who needs arm repair on a specific day. Why? What's the character's motivation? Now, we also know that we've got a character's goal that's different than their motivation. You're going to have to do some work, and you can end up with some contradictions here. You're going to have to work with some stuff, possibly. But for the character's motivation, this comes from Family Guy, 2001. This is actually the comeback episode after they got canceled, and this is the name Tina. Some people say that there's a female to blame. Now, also, here's the thing: if you are not an ex-addict, if you're in recovery, or maybe if you're not in recovery, if you're just on the streets, you know that Tina is also a name for, especially in the gay community, for methamphetamine. So their motivation could be Tina, the thing you slam, or it could be Tina, the thing you slam. Fuck you, Grey Army Gaming, and your kids, your students. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, are they in college? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Are they in high school? Some of them are over 18 in high school. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. They could be left behind. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know why I don't have more friends. I've got a lot of friends on the inside of Washington politics since the election. Tell, tell me it's a joke. I didn't say it was funny. I don't even know what I'm doing with this thing at this point. Okay, so character's motivation is a girl. He loves her. FY, in case you're curious, that all those jokes I was saying before, it was a test. Okay? And if you didn't laugh and you were shocked at my behavior, congratulations, you're a good person. Okay? I could have been in a lot of trouble right there. Someone could have really clipped me out of context there, but it was worth it to me to help you find out if you were good or bad people. Gray Army Gaming, you're welcome. I know you don't know me. I'm relying a lot of things. Give me a lot of taking a lot of things on faith. Well, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Anyway, how means of achieving the goal. Now check this out. I was like, what? Check this out. No shit. I found this from Donnie Darko too. Do you mean God's master plan? Question mark. How perfect is that? How? We don't know how. Do you mean God's master plan? I don't know. We don't know how we're gonna do it. We're gonna find. We gotta find it. We gotta find someone to do the gig. We gotta find a client. And now here's the foe. The foe came from Cowboy Bebop 1999 as well. That assassin from the syndicate, and shit got real. That assassin from the syndicate. So who are we? We're Dick Donnie at the dinner table. That's where we do our trade. That's where we do our work. What's our character goal? We need a man in need of arm repairs. We fix arms. Whether they be in your arm or you carry it in your arms, we can fix stuff, but we need to do some work because we need to raise some scratch. Where we were hiding out up in the Slough Trading Estate, or what remains of it, in these dark days of April 15th, 1998. And all we're trying to do is make that money so that Tina and I and we can get the fuck up out of here. And we need to find this client, and we need to find this work, and we don't know how. It's in God's hands, and we got to do this before and without raising the suspicion of that assassin from the syndicate, man. We're a worker, not a fighter. So what's the win-loss condition? Here's the thing. So I stapled these pages with the Donnie Darko stuff, the Cowboy Bebop episode, the Office episode, the Trigun episode, the Family Guy episode, and that one sliver of One Piece. That's 4 pages. That's like 2 pages double sided of graph paper of these little entries. And they're numbered. So we can roll on them. Right? And what's the win loss condition? We'll roll. And when we get on things will either be, there could be objects, things that we can pick up. There'll be spaces, locations where we're at. And then there'll be things that'll either be the man in need of arm repairs, right? The actual client that can use our services. And then that's the win condition. Now, but here's the thing. So we have the fire. We have the thing that we can roll on to get success or failure, right? Charles John Williamson going nuts on Twitch chat. I have no idea. DJ X Dave? What the brewer? What? Take a break? Are you requesting a break? Oh my god, you talking about dark? If you're talking about dark journalists or whatever, I have no idea what the hell. I have no idea what's going on. Good luck with that. Anyway, I have no idea what's going on. Thank you for participating on Twitch, and you'll be generating mucho content or algorithmic interaction for me on Twitch. That's all I can tell you. Whatever, dude. I love you. God bless you. Whatever's going on. Thank whatever. So we have win loss conditions. We can roll on and figure out success. So people we encounter will either be the potential client, a lead to the potential client, an object that we can use, some other sort of encounter, or the fucking assassin. And for all those things, we can roll on the fire and figure out whether or not it's, mas bien or mas muy mal, right? So if we run into a potential client and we roll good, and depending on the context of the words we see on the paper, we'll assess whether or not we think it's advantageous or disadvantageous or neutral. We'll figure out whether or not it was a success or a failure. And if it's a success and we make a sale, that's it. I'm only thinking that we need one sale because the goal is we need a man, that's singular, in need of arm repairs. So as far as I'm concerned, we need to do one job. One job, it's like we need bus fare. We just need us, Tina, maybe Tina's mom, right? And it's like the assassin. If we can clear out of Slough, we're done. All right, and that wife wants to go out for dinner for feed day. Much love. God bless her. Hey, tell her dinner this time is on you, Jonaside. Okay? Come on. You can afford it. Tell her this time she gets the lobster, okay? And how you roll. No more of this anything off the dollar menu crap. Okay? We'll let that roll with Tim Frey. Because, his condition. His wife's condition. Anyway. And likewise with, if we get a lead, if it's a failure, the lead goes nowhere. If it's a success, the lead gets to someone. If we run into the assassin. If we roll and it's, extreme success, we get away from them, right? If it's extreme failure, they shot us, right? And obviously, we're not going to get the assassin because we used the assassin, so we crossed out the assassin's name. So it's going to be about we'll land on something and we'll make the assessment. Is that the assassin? We might not run into anybody that conceivably we look at and say, that's the assassin. We might get 1,000 leads. We might not hit anybody that we think is definably, definitely a lead or definitely a customer. We may get bored of the game or this iteration of the game before we reach that point. I may decide that the most fun that I can have the next instance of play is not rolling to see what happens next, but is just simply coming up with new answers to a new round of who, what, where, when, why, how, and a foe. If you can dig it. This has been a 1 hour, 5 minute, and 17-second video at that point that I made that assessment. This is a set of tarot cards from 2003, which is just slightly later than all the other material that we've been talking about. That all has a couple things in common, including the fact that they were made prior to September 11th, 2001. Right? Let me know what you thought about this video in the comment section below. Did I explain things adequately? Was it too long and too confusing? Should we come back again for more clarity, simplicity, and conciseness? And the card we pull, folks, you can't make this shit up. The Magician. And aren't we all? And remember, folks, after a fashion, we are engaging in a system of cut-ups. Information is recorded, words are composed, and set to paper. Those words are harvested again and placed against other words not in a random fashion. We say hello to Sam Shadow, happy Valentine's Day to thee, but in an ordered fashion that is not related to traditional compositional methodologies of syntax and grammar. And in doing so, some believe that different information can be rendered visible, viable, and known. Is that the case due to what some may call supernatural interventions? Or is that the case due to activities related to human neurology, psychology, and culture? Or are we all just spinning our wheels here over nothing? I just don't know. But I know I love you, and that may be all I need to know. Informer. Got you under my skin. Got you in the very heart of me. Fuck you. Shut up. Listen, folks, I love you, I love you, I love you. If no one told you they loved you today, someone just did. That somebody is C.W. Chanter. Make of that what you will, because you already will. And Hollywood is leading our youth down a moral sewer. Probably that's where they belong. They're human garbage anyway. They're just little people, and people suck. Come on, folks. Right? The baby of today is the Hitler of tomorrow. Stamp them out. Get them while they're young, right? Before they can arm themselves. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Folks, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. I wouldn't hurt a fly. They scare me. I saw that movie with Vincent Price. The Ghost in the Invisible Bikini, the Golden Bikini. Can't wait for the fly to show up. Let me down. Can't get over it. Folks, if you didn't like this material, I got some jokes I can tell you. Listen, folks, that's it. That's it. That's it. We're done. We're done. We are done. Sam Shadow, I got a story about the Cronenberg fly that will just, it's tragic and sad. Folks, I love you. I do. The unfortunate thing is you're the person who loves you is me, but what are you going to do? Anyway, let me know in the comment section. Participate in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of this video. How can I improve it? How could it be better? Did you understand what I was trying to describe? Did it work for you? How could it be better? The whole I'm repeating myself now. Listen, help me out. Help me help you, as we say. Okay? Like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the Patreon. Check out everything. Check out who's you're loving you now. Chinatown. That's it. That's right. That's my nut. Okay. I love you. Peace.